When starting a robotic journey, you're usually pointed towards the blinking lights. I've done some blinking lights, but then I got the bright idea to build a fully articulated walking robotic hand. And why did I do that? What the? Look at that, it's coming along pretty good, right? I checked everything to make sure it was limited to 180 degrees. What is wrong with this thing? So I wanted to be able to curl and open. What happened there? Who wants this? Look at that, you can even move some of these strings. I'm not able to put the wire through. Guess he just doesn't want to print. You gotta reprint, print again, reprint. Another one bites the dust. This was one of the most frustrating experiences I've encountered recently. For whatever reason, I decided to get into robotics. I had to pull out my Pokédex real quick to test this and see help me test which wire is which. If I touch it, the ground, it should beep. When I touch this, that's when it beeps. This is my red strip wire, so I need to plug them into the positive. Put some glue on there. All right, so there we go. We have our USB attached to the servo driver. All right, got the cord rigged up the right way this time. Instead of going through the top part, that's not going anywhere. And for whatever reason, I decided to take on the task of creating a robotic hand. See, I didn't just start with something light and simple. I said, nope. Let me jump into one of the most complex builds I can think of at this early stage of learning. Now, there are many ways to make robotic hands. Many ways. Simple ways at that. But I wanted mine to have all the bells and whistles. I wanted mine to have all the functions and the movements that will allow it to get up and walk around. So I began making my robot. And this was going to be a robot made out of foam. You don't see too many walking robots made out of foam. I solved a lot of problems and overcame a lot of obstacles when trying to build this foam robotic hand. And eventually, I had built a functional robotic hand made out of foam. All right, got the cord rigged up. Got our power bank on the temporary controller. See if we can't close all the fingers. All right, once again, let's see if we can't open all the fingers. All right, close, open. Nice. I got the fingers to open and close. The palm was able to fold along the crease. I also plan to have the pinky and thumb fingers rotate side to side, aside from just curling. So that way they can act as hind legs. I even spent some quality time with my robotic hand. So I was very proud of what I was able to build, and I had to show someone, right? You got to show somebody. And this is where all my troubles began. So I shared my phone robotic hand on social media so people can view and they can see all the progress I've made, right? People were viewing my progress and my robotic hand made out of foam. And then I get this one comment from the social media population. And the comment basically said, yeah, that's a nice prototype and all, but get you a 3D printer. A prototype? They referred to my phone robot as a prototype. This was not a prototype. This was a fully completed robotic hand made out of foam. How dare they? Right, how dare they? But I thought to myself, bump what they're talking about. Forget what they saying. I'm not getting no 3D printer. And then look, I gave in. I gave in. Oh, it's moving. Got some movement on the inside. Yep, I gave in. It's like once they said those words, it's like it stuck in my head and started to fester until I was completely consumed with the thought of getting a 3D printer. And it was actually the best decision I made. So thank you. Thank you to that person that left that comment. But man, did I run into so many more problems. That's how you feel? Is that how you feel? Who wants this? See, they say get a 3D printer. Get a 3D printer. But they don't tell you about all the mishaps and all the struggles that's going to come with it. They don't tell you about all the hours you're going to spend printing something, only to take it out and see that something's wrong and have to reprint the whole thing over again. It lines up pretty well, but the only problem is when I turn it upside down, this bottom looks nothing like that bottom. As I was breaking off all the supports, I accidentally cracked this side and this pipe. I'm gonna reprint this better so these won't be. They don't tell you that. Get a 3D printer, you say. No one tells you about the millions of reprints you're gonna have to do. The many times you're gonna have to adjust the settings. The many times you're gonna get 1 degree burn before you actually get a decent print. But with each print, I learned something new and I got better at operating the machine. Funny thing is, it seemed like every time I learned something new about the machine, I ran into a new problem to solve. 11 hours down the drain. Come back to look at my model and look at this. Look at this. How does that even happen? How does that even happen? 3D printing can be so frustrating. Reprint, print again, reprint, print again, reprint, print again. And anything can go wrong at any time. Yep, and once I solved that problem, I run into another problem. I didn't get to document all the problems and obstacles I faced as I became too focused with troubleshooting and trying to figure out a solution. But I promise you, this isn't even half the problems that I've ran into. All I want to do is code. Why am I trying to build this? Why did I listen to that comment? Why did I make it so complex? Why haven't you liked the video? All these questions, no answers. But I was finally able to complete the robotic hand build. You see it closes and doesn't open all the way, so now I had to adjust that. Gonna go back and redesign and spend another couple hours printing because it's not opening straight like this. So I know what I have to do. I finally got a decent print after all these retries and errors and issues and troubleshooting. I did it in black because after I had so many bad prints, I started wondering, maybe it's the filament I'm using, maybe it's the colors. So I was trying different colors. So I was trying gray. After the gray kept getting tangled up, which I showed in the previous clip. I don't know how that's possible, but after the gray kept getting tangled up, I tried black. I used a lot of white, so I was low on white. I wanted to use white, so I just tried black. I finally got a decent print, and the only other color of filament I had was red, and I don't really care for red personally. Reprint. So on this one, the fingers, they have no limit, they bend all the way, but on the reprint they only can go this far, any further than this, so they'll keep the fingers straight. I have a simple code set to my microcontroller where I will take the various servos one by one, attach them to the controller to make sure each finger is functioning properly. As I've been rigging up the hand, I finally got the center of the hand to move. Now if I push the command to close the hand, that's what we got. Now if I open it, right, got the thumb rigged up. So now I can rotate on that axis as well. Pinky. Open. Ring finger. Middle finger. Open. Index finger. All right. Open. So I gotta tighten this up a little more. All right, and we got the pinky. So if I tell it to open, that's what we have. Now I can't close it. I have it closed, but I don't have it rigged up to close. And the reason is it's starting to smoke. I had it rigged up earlier to close the finger back like this, but the problem is that this is still controlling the curling of the finger, so it's kind of restraining it. So if I attach both wires, they're like fighting against each other, the curling and the rotating. So my theory is that I should not rig this up until I have the code written. That way, once I code this to rotate the pinky this way, I will have this coded as well to release, you know, because you see as it curls, it pulls it this way. So I would need to have both of these coded where this turns the pinky while also releasing the pinky like this. That way it's not fighting, the two motors aren't fighting each other. So the rig is there, but I can smell the fume, I can smell it smoking. So yeah, that's what we have so far, and I'm gonna leave that till the next update video. I have the hand completely rigged up and ready for code. Oh man, do I need a break. I still got all these wires attached to everything. I'm scared to trim them because soon as you trim any of the wires off, that's when something goes wrong. And now the wire is too short to adjust anything. Just wanted to give a good look over real quick of the build. This was very complex. Let me get in close so you can see all the wires and details. Now I was using glue. As you can see, I was using some glue in areas to keep the wire in place. But once again, when I got to the pinky, this is so much of a tougher build that the motors are fighting each other. So it literally was snatching the glue right out of the hose. So I found the solution, which is to add screws. I bought a whole case of M2 screws right here, all different sizes. I ordered a whole case of that, so I was able to replace these with screws. And I might go in and replace all the little glue drops with screws as well. But the wire is not going anywhere now. But I just wanted to give you a quick overlook of the entire rig to see, like, this was no easy build. It was so complex, and making sure all the wires route to the proper finger and servo and such. That's the build of the hand. Yeah, this was tough. This was tough. I'm ready for the next video.